Mm. All right, so are our lives active? We are live in place number one, number two, three, four, five. We are good. Six, we're good. Seven, we're good. Good morning, John, over on IG. We're going to get right into it, folks. This is one that I told you all was coming. I told you all I was going to talk about this last week when I was talking about the upcoming election that all of you know about that is happening. What we got as of this recording, we got a little bit over a week coming for the 2024 election. I mentioned this in when I was responding to comments actually last week, specifically comments that were coming from TikTok, which is over here, but I'm live in like 7 places right now. But I told people I was going to talk about this today. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you basically 2 parts here. I'm going to help you understand why facts and the truth are not the same thing. Many of you tend to think that they are. They are not the same thing. Then I'm going to help you understand why facts actually do not matter. So any of you who thinks that the facts, and when I say facts, sometimes when I'm using talk to text, and I say facts, they put it in FAX, like a fax machine, but I mean facts, FACTS, which y'all can see in the title. Facts do not matter. First of all, let's get clear on why facts are not the truth. Then we're going to get clear on why facts do not matter nearly as much as they used to matter. So they tell me I can pin the goal. Let's see if that works. All right. So anyway, first of all, let's get into a background understanding, because one thing about me, for those of you who are not familiar with my work, I like to use the definition of words when I start talking about a subject. I'll give you the definition of what a word actually is straight out of the dictionary. The challenge with doing that today with facts and the truth is that they actually use each other in their definition. So you look at the definition of facts, they mention the word truth. You look at the definition of truth, they mention the word facts. So it actually doesn't serve us here today. So because they would be 2 different, they would not be 2 different words. They were the exact same thing. They're not the same thing. So I'm going to help you understand contextually what they mean in today's world, specifically. I always have trouble saying that word. Specifically in the work on your game world and how these things work. So you understand the facts and the truth are not the same thing. So before I get started, let me introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. I'm the author of 35 books. I've done 4 TEDx talks. I created this brand called Work on Your Game. Our job here is to help you perform at your highest level, do so consistently, and produce results. Sorry, that's what we do for a living, or that's what I do for a living. You want to know more about what we do, go to the link in my bio. It's workonyourgameuniversity.com. So let's get right into this topic of why facts are not the truth. Here's the first reason why facts are not the truth, because when I was talking about politics specifically, and by the way, I'll answer all questions and comments at the end. So if you leave a question or comment, I will respond to it when I'm done. When I was talking about the political campaign coming up, and I have, by the way, on the record, I have given you reasons why if Kamala wins, why she will win. I've also given you reasons why if Donald Trump wins, why he will win. So anybody thinks I'm partisan, I'm on one side or another, I'm not. I'm actually on my own side. And ask me who I'm voting for myself. All right, just I'll probably say that 10 more times before we're done here today. But we got to make sure I'm saying it up front. First thing is that facts can be taken out of context. This is why facts and the truth are not the same thing. Then why does this matter? This matters because when someone comes to you and tells you that they're telling you the facts about a situation, that does not mean that what they're telling you is the entire truth. Everybody understand that? All right. When someone tells you that they're telling you the facts, that does not mean that what they're saying is unquestionable. It doesn't mean that that's the beginning and the end of the conversation. It does not mean that they are necessarily telling you everything that you need to know. And it also doesn't mean that they can't still possibly be deceiving you. You can deceive someone with facts. We call it lying with facts. There's a book out there. Y'all can find this book on Amazon. It's called How to Lie with Statistics. Any of you ever heard of this book? It's called How to Lie with Statistics. You can lie to people with facts. You can lie with data. You can lie with something that is actually proven to be correct. You can lie with something that is accurate. And this is where a lot of you, these days get mixed up because you believe that when someone tells you they're giving you a fact, that it's unquestionable, unchallengeable, and that's just the beginning and the end of the conversation. As a matter of fact, it's actually just the start of the conversation as soon as someone hands me a fact. Because here's the thing, if you think about this, it makes perfect sense, right? You can take a fact out of context. I'll give you an example. All right, down here, I live in Miami, Florida. Yes, and let's talk about the basketball, for example. I'll give you a basketball example. Just yesterday, as a matter of fact, you can see this on my Instagram story. They did they put a statue in front of the arena for Dwayne Wade. He deserved the statue. Great player, Hall of Fame player. And you can see the statue in front of the building right now. And I posted a couple clips of him giving his speech when he was getting the statue dedicated to himself. Miami Heat played against the Chicago Bulls in a playoff game in 1997. So it's a while ago, those of you not old enough to remember. But you don't need to know the specifics of it. I'm going to tell you the specifics. In this particular game, this is a playoff game. It was in the Eastern Conference Finals. And Michael Jordan was having a really, really bad game. At one point, he had shot the ball 22 times. He only made 2 shots. He was 2 out of 22 from the floor. And the Bulls ended up losing that game. So if you and that's a fact. Everything I just told you was a fact. At one point, he was 2 out of 22 from the floor, and the Bulls lost that playoff game. Now, those of you who have been in the conversation of who's better between Michael Jordan and LeBron, you would take that fact, and there would be a good point on your behalf to say, well, LeBron's better than Jordan because LeBron never did that in a playoff game. And everything I told you is an absolute fact. But people didn't tell you the truth. All right. People didn't tell you the truth. Here's the truth. All right. Because the truth is all the context. The truth is that playoff game was game 3 of the 1997 Eastern Conference Finals. Game 4, in which the Bulls were already up 3-0 because Michael Jordan had been kicking the Miami Heat's ass that whole playoff series. And even though the Miami Heat won that game, which was game 4, the Bulls went on to win game 5 and end the series, winning it 4-1, basically stomping out the Heat pretty easily. And basketball would call that a gentleman's sweep. Then they went to the NBA Finals where they played the Utah Jazz, and Michael Jordan won his 5th NBA championship. And the Miami Heat did not win a championship until 2006 with the guy I mentioned a few minutes ago, Dwayne Wade. And so I'm telling you all that to say this. Facts and the truth are not the same. See, if I just tell you the fact, Michael Jordan was 2 for 22, he missed all these shots, and you can find this video. The video of this game is on YouTube. You can find a video on YouTube, and Michael Jordan's missing all kinds of shots. He's looking slow. He's looking lethargic. It looks like he has no energy, and he's missing everything, and the Bulls are losing the game. All right, the fact is, all of those things happen. The truth is, Michael Jordan was still the best player in the league. They won 4 out of 5 games. The Heat had won 64 games that year, which is a lot of games to win. If you win 60 games in the NBA, you're basically considered a title contender. Miami Heat won 64 games. That was their best team of that era, with Pat Riley coaching. This is Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway, Jamal Mashburn, those guys. And the Bulls came in and kicked their ass in 5 games. See, that's the context. And then the Bulls went to the NBA Finals, and guess what? They won again. That's the context. See, if you get all the context, now you got the truth. I can handpick a fact. So when we talk about, for example, in politics, thank you, Yellow Man Reed, again for the rose and the gifts. Appreciate you, sir. When you hear people talking about politics, often what they do, especially people who have chosen a side politically, they tell you a fact, and they tell you a fact that is pulled out of context to help paint the picture that they want to paint and give you the idea that they want you to have about a person. So, for example, Donald Trump, who's been in this is his 3rd election cycle, people have plenty of facts that they can pull out about him, often negative. And what happens is people use what they call the repeater fallacy. The repeater fallacy is simply you repeat any idea or story often enough, then people come to accept it as truth, and they will come to insert it into their set of beliefs that they have about life. And the problem with that is, again, somebody can tell you a lie over and over again, you will come to believe it. How many of you as an adult came to realize that something that your parents or your school teachers told you when you were a kid, you finally realize, oh, wait a minute, that's some nonsense that they told me, but I believed it because I heard it so many times. How many of you, when you were a kid, I was talking to my wife about this yesterday, when you were a kid, you were not allowed to get up from the dinner table until you ate all the food on your plate, even if you weren't hungry anymore. Now, some of you as adults probably still behave that way, but some of us, and I was over the age of 30 when I finally figured this out, and it was a light bulb moment for me. Eating more of the food on your plate when you're not hungry anymore doesn't help you. It doesn't feed any of the starving kids in China or any other country. And it doesn't do anything to serve anybody in the world. I remember when I was a kid, I would not eat. I gotta be careful saying countries' names here because I know TikTok's listening. I remember when I was a kid, and once I didn't want to finish eating all my food, and my mom said, she looked at me like with this very solemn look on her face, and she said, well, there are people out there and kids out there your age who are starving and they don't have any food and they never have anything to eat. And that means you should be thankful for the food that you have, and you should eat everything on your plate. That was her logic and her reasoning. And you heard this over and over and over again. And again, those of you from the communities like where I'm from, I don't know how it was in all of your cultures, but the culture that I'm from, if you went to another person's house and they served food and you didn't eat it all, you were being disrespectful. And this was like, you would get punished for this and you wouldn't get invited back to their house. I remember I was playing basketball. I was in Mexico. It was like 2006, something like that. And one of my teammates, he was from Los Angeles. I'm from Philadelphia. And I remember we were eating at a restaurant or something, and I didn't eat all the food because I wasn't hungry anymore. And my teammate looked at me and said, Dre, you know what? You would never get invited to my house to eat dinner. And I said, why not? He said, because you never eat all your food. And this is the mindset that a lot of people have. And the point being that sometimes people will repeat a fact to you. What I just told you is not a fact, but I'm just giving you an example. Sometimes people will repeat a fact to you over and over and over again, and it is indeed a fact. Just because it's a fact does not mean it's the truth. And many people get their judgment clouded by facts without asking themselves, is this the entire truth? So what's the difference between truth and facts? Truth is all the facts in full context. Everybody got it? And this will take me into point number 2 in a second. But before I get there, before I even go further, let me continue on what I'm talking about here in point number 1. So as I just told you, facts can easily be taken out of context. In today's world, people do this and they do it intentionally to mislead you into a predetermined conclusion. This is what people do. So you had to be very careful of people doing this to you. And you also got to be very careful of you doing it to others. You got to check yourself too. Make sure you are not trying to lead people into a predetermined conclusion by giving them a fact that removes the context. Because when you remove the context, you can make anything look like anything. Those of you who use social media, specifically applications where there are short clips, TikTok being one of them, X being another one, X also formerly known as Twitter, Instagram as well, but Instagram tends to not have as many. TikTok has more content. They tend to support you posting more stuff than less stuff. Instagram is more about curated stuff, but you will see, and they do this specifically with Trump more than anybody. They do it with everybody, but Trump, this happens the most, is they'll take something that he said, he'll be giving a speech for like an hour. Then they'll take like 30 seconds of something that he said in the speech, and they'll say, oh, look at this. Donald Trump said this. How can anybody go wrong with this? How can you vote for this guy when he said this, that, and the third? And I'm like, wait a minute. Let's see the full context of what he said. So if you take the 30-second clip, you can make anybody look like anything. Again, I've said this to all of you. Any of you who publishes content on the internet, all right, let me say this again. Any of you who publishes content on the internet, if you publish enough content for long enough, I can go through all of your stuff and I can find a clip to make you look crazy. I can find a 30-second clip that makes you look like a complete idiot, crazy, or the exact opposite of what you actually are if you publish often enough. If you go through all of my stuff that I published over the last 20 years, you could put together basically a whole collage of clips that make me look like a complete full idiot, whatever way you want to make me look bad. You can do it. Anybody who has enough content, you can do it. Donald Trump has enough content, you can do it. I can also put together some clips. You could be a complete idiot, and I can put together some clips to make you look like a genius. Because that's what happens when you take facts out of context. And this is exactly what people do all the time. Again, so you have to be very careful of you doing this to other people and people doing it to you. And people will do this to mislead you on purpose. Politicians do this all the time. This is the reason why I did the live that I did last week and told you that the most important person you need to vote for this year is voting for yourself, because politicians are liars by trade. You have to lie to be a successful politician in the United States of America, because you can't win an election by telling people the full truth. Because if you tell everybody the full truth, then you're going to piss off too many people and you won't have enough support in order to win the election. And your opponent will just do the opposite of you and tell people the facts out of context. They will get a whole lot of support because they are misleading people on purpose, and they'll win the election and you'll lose. You told the truth, but you lost. So why would you even get in that game? I like telling people the truth and giving you all the facts and context. That's why I don't get in politics, because telling people the truth is not mixed with politics, at least not in the United States. I don't know about in any other countries. This is the reason why I told you to vote for yourself, because they're all liars. You cannot be a successful politician without lying. It's impossible. And I'm talking about all of them. Democrats, Republicans, whoever you like, male, female, black, white, they all lie. So politicians do this. Social justice activists, they're also very expert liars. And these people are not dummies. Let me also be clear about that. I want to make sure that I'm telling y'all everything, because I have no political affiliations. I have no bosses. I serve no one. No one is paying me to say the messages that I say. So I can tell you the truth. I have the freedom to tell you the truth. That's something else you need to know about me. So I can say anything that I want here. I mean, inside of the TikTok banned languages, things you got to make sure you can't say on TikTok. But other than that, I can tell you the full truth, because there's nobody who can tell me what to do. There's nobody who can tell me what to say and what not to say. Social justice activists are very clever at using facts to distort the truth. So the people who were there's a couple authors. The guy who wrote the book on anti-racism, Ibram Kendi, very expert at pulling facts out of context and framing things a certain way. Robin DiAngelo, she wrote a book called White Fragility, another excellent grifter at taking facts out of context and presenting them as quote unquote reality. I call these people race hustlers. I gave them a title. They're called race hustlers, and the reason they're called hustlers, and you got a few from back in the day. Jesse Jackson is another one. Al Sharpton is another one. These people are full-time race hustlers, and their whole job is to make you get excited about anything involving race, and that's how they make their money. So they're called hustlers because they're making money off of it. If they were just doing it, then they'd just be, I guess we call them influencers. But they're race hustlers because this is their business. This is their career. And these people are not dumb. So when you find people lying to you, and in life, there is no such thing as misinformation or disinformation. Those are not things. You're either telling people the truth or you're lying. All right, that's it. You're telling people the truth or you're lying. There's no misinformation. There's no disinformation. You're telling the truth or you are lying. And these people are not dumb. They are extremely smart. They are well-educated people. They're very articulate. They know how to put words together, and they know how to influence and persuade people. They know exactly what they're doing. They are lying to you, and they're doing it on purpose. So again, I may do a whole conversation on the race hustlers on another day. If y'all want to hear that, let me know in the comments. Just put race hustler in the comment. And if you want me to do a whole stream on race hustlers, I could easily do that. I could do 2 hours on race hustlers. But anyway, Mr. Kendi, for example, Ibram X. Kendi, he wrote the book called How to Be an Anti-Racist. If you haven't read it, you should read it. I do not agree with the conclusions in the book, but you should read the book anyway, so you understand why a bunch of people agree with it. Because see, reading books is not just because you agree with the concept. You read a book so you can find out, even if you disagree with the concept, you want to know what they're doing. So you understand why other people think the way that they think. There's an old motivational speaker by the name of Zig Ziglar. Some of you may have heard of Zig. And he said, he used to tell this joke in his speeches back in the day. He said, every morning I wake up and I read the Bible and I read the newspaper. Now, why do I read both? He said, because I want to know what both sides are up to. And the whole point being, you need to know what these other people are believing and why they believe it, so that if and when you come across one of them and you need to deal with them, you know how to deal with them. You need to understand why they're thinking what they're thinking. So Mr. Kendi, I brought him up for a reason. I read his book twice. I read it twice. The first time I read it, I said, I can't believe what this guy is saying. I read it again just to make sure that I didn't misconstrue it. And now I did a 4-part series on my show. You can find it on YouTube. And I said why. I basically said I'm going to pick apart anti-racism. You can find it on YouTube. Just look up my name and the word anti-racism. I did a 4-part series. And I remember I was looking up Mr. Kendi on X, also known as Twitter. And I see y'all comments. Y'all want me to talk about race hustlers, I will. And I looked him up on Twitter and I found out he had me blocked. He blocked me on Twitter. But I had never talked to this guy before. I never said anything to him. He never said anything to me. I don't know when he blocked me, but maybe I guess he saw my series or when I was talking about him and he had me blocked. The point being, I was pointing out his nonsense. And if what I was saying was not true, then he could have just said to me, yo, what you're saying is not true. But it was true. And this is how people lie to you with facts. Let's move on to point number 2, because as you can see, I can talk about this stuff all day. Number 2, we're talking about why facts are not the truth. Then I'm going to tell you why facts don't matter. Number 2, I just explained this to you. Truth is the whole picture. Truth is the whole picture. Now, let me tell you why in society these days we have such a problem with the truth. And we don't have a problem with the truth being that people don't want to hear it. We have a problem with the truth in that very rarely does it get across and very rarely is the truth absorbed. And I'm going to explain to you why. Because the truth is, first of all, the whole picture. The other thing is, y'all have heard this saying that there are 2 sides to every story, or 3 sides, right? 3 sides to every story. There is one person's side, there's the other person's side, and then there's what actually happened. Well, understand this. There are no sides to the truth. There are no sides to a truth. There are sides to facts. I just gave you an example. There's a fact that Michael Jordan was 2 for 22 from the floor in this playoff game. There's another fact that the Bulls won the series 4 games to 1. They won the championship this year. They're both facts, both 100% factual. But the truth is the whole story, is all of it. You understand? Now, why is the truth? Why do people have a problem with the truth? I'm going to tell you why, very simply, Why there's a problem with the truth in society today? Because absorbing the truth takes a whole lot more time. It takes more energy. It takes more focus. It requires more of your mental resources to consume the truth. It is very easy to consume a fact. Next time you are with a friend or you're sitting next to somebody on a train or on an airplane or just anywhere in public, and you see somebody going through social media, or you're in an elevator, for example, and look at somebody going through social media, like they're on TikTok or something like that. Look how quickly they just scroll and swipe between one post and the next post and the next one and the next one. How much time do they give each one? They say, for those of you who are in the content creation space, you've heard people say this. They say it on YouTube. They say it on all the social medias, that when someone comes across your content, you get 3 seconds to grab their attention before they swipe up and go to the next post. Is that true? You get 3 seconds to grab their attention. Now, why does that matter? Because the truth in the full context of what actually happened, all the facts, you can't get the truth in 3 seconds. That's the problem. You can't get the truth in 3 seconds. That's the reason why many people are uninterested in the truth. Many people don't know the truth, and many people get more excited and riled up over facts rather than getting the whole truth for several reasons. First of all, the truth is usually not as exciting as the facts. See, the truth is like, let me back up. Facts are like the wedding, and truth is like the marriage. Any of you who's married, please co-sign that in the comments. Let me say it again. Maybe some of y'all didn't catch the metaphor. Facts are the wedding. Truth is the marriage. See, wedding is exciting. Any of you been to a wedding? Weddings are exciting. They're fun. It's a party. A wedding is a party. That's pretty much what it is. But see, marriage is not a party. See, and this is the thing that this is the reason why a lot of people aren't interested in the truth, because the truth is usually actually pretty boring. It's not really that exciting. It's not really that sensational. And this is the reason why people get much more excited about facts, especially when the fact is something that you've already emotionally decided that you want to go along with. So, for example, if you hate Trump, for example, and then someone comes out with a fact pulled completely out of context that makes him sound bad, you will agree with that fact and you will co-sign that fact. You will even amplify that fact. Why? Because you already decided emotionally that you don't like him. So anything you hear, even if you think it's kind of shaky ground upon which it is shared, you'll go with it anyway, because you already know that you don't mess with the guy. So anything that supports that, you'll go with. This is how people are. And again, facts are the wedding. Truth is the marriage. Just think about that one today. Even if you're not married, you get the point. You know what a wedding is, right? Okay, everybody understands. All right, there's a party and then there's everything else. It's kind of like facts are like when you buy a car and you first drive it off the lot, you're all excited about your new car. Truth is like a year and a half later when you still have that car and you drive it every day to the point that you don't even notice that you're getting in your car. All right, it's a whole different thing. And most people don't have the discipline to find out the truth. They rather just run with the facts. Again, especially if it aligns with what you already believe. And this is where us humans using social media actually exacerbate this issue, because think about it. The way social media is designed is the algorithm tends to give you more of what you already agree with, right? So when I go on YouTube, for example, on the homepage, it shows me a bunch of videos of stuff that they know that I already listen to. So it'll show me videos of people who I'm subscribed to, or it'll show me more videos of anyone whose content I just watched yesterday, and it'll give me more of what I already believe in. Therefore, if I already believe points A, B, C, whether they're true or not, but I believe them, all I'm going to get when I get on social media is more material that further supports what I already believe, even if what I believe is complete bullshit and it's facts that are pulled out of context. Therefore, I'm getting further and further away from the truth the more material I consume. Therefore, think about this. I feel like I'm informed because I'm consuming all this information, yet the information I'm consuming are facts that are pulled out of context, and I'm getting further and further into the rabbit hole of what I've chosen to believe, even if what I've chosen to believe is not the actual truth. This is how our world has gotten so separated, and everyone has these disparate ideas about what's true and what's not, because social media actually further exacerbates the issue. And I'm not blaming social media, because social media is us. We're the ones using social media. We're the ones publishing the content. Social media just provided a platform for us to do what we already wanted to do, which is go further and further into our mental ghettos of believing and accepting what we want to believe and accept. So don't blame the apps. Let me be very clear. I'm not blaming the apps for this, because the only thing on the apps is what they call UGC, which stands for user generated content. Who are the users? We are. We're the ones doing this. So when people say, sometimes people talk about Trump. I'll use him as an example because he has. I probably wouldn't even be talking about this if it wasn't for his existence, because it's allowed people to show themselves. People are like, well, Trump's existence has made people more divided and more negative, and there's more distrust amongst people because of Trump. No, it's not because of him. His presence just allowed people to show who they actually were. He's not the reason. You can't blame it on him. He didn't all of a sudden make people be negative. You don't have to be negative no matter what somebody else does. You control your own behaviors. So we chose, as a society, we chose to go this route because his presence allowed us to express what we already have within us. All right. So we're not blaming this on any one person. We're not blaming this on any one entity, but I'm helping you understand that you are actually engineering your own ignorance if you don't come up for air and question yourself. Let me give you an example. Back in 2016, I was following, just like you were following, the whole process with the election coming up. This 2016 was Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton. Most of you probably know that. And I remember when Trump started to gain momentum, this is before he had even won the nomination. Then he won the nomination. And I'm like, man, it was like Trump is very popular. Like popular doesn't necessarily mean positive. You can be popular in a negative way. But he was very popular. Everybody was talking about him. Nobody could not talk about him. Nobody was talking about Clinton. Everybody was talking about Trump, even when it was down to just those two. And I remember I posted on social media, is Donald Trump actually going to win the presidency? It was like April of 2016. Somebody was like, no way, chill out. And I said, okay, we'll see. And then leading up to the election, there are, of course, all the negative stuff coming out about him. I did not vote for Donald Trump in 2016. That's one election I will tell you what I did. Don't ask me what I'm doing this year. I already told you I'm voting for myself. But I didn't vote for him in 2016. I voted for Clinton because I said, I was told from what I was listening to and what I was hearing on social media, just like many of you, that if Donald Trump wins, he's going to roll back every positive progress that has been made for anyone other than a old white man. So if you are a person of color, if you're a minority, if you're a female, if you're in the rainbow group, I don't know if I can even say that. Y'all know who I'm talking about in the world. If any of those things, if you're part of any of those groups, things are going to be terrible for you. It's going to be basically the H word all over again for the J people from over in that G country that I can't say. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And that's going to happen all over again to everybody. And there's going to be slavery again. I think I can say that word. They're going to put everybody back in chains, especially if you're black. No way you can support him. You got to make sure you go vote so this guy can't get in office because it's going to be horrible. And I believed all of that. I bought into all of that. And I'm going to tell you why I bought into it and what happened after that. Here's what happened. So he wins. And I remember the day that he won. I remember I went to the gym that morning. I went to the gym first thing in the morning, every morning. And I saw white people in the gym and there were black people in the gym. And I was thinking there was going to be some kind of chaos in the streets because he won. But nothing happened. Everybody was just moving around normally and having their normal conversations. No one was doing anything different. And during that whole workout, I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, I thought it was going to be like doomsday if he won. Now, he had just won that day. Of course, he had 4 years. But I'm like, maybe. I just started thinking to myself, because I consider myself to be a critical thinker. Even then I did, but I'm much more of a critical thinker now than I was then. But I started to question myself. I'm like, I bought into this whole thing that everything's going to be horrible because he won. Where is this horror actually going to begin? When is it happening? I didn't see any of it happening. So here's what I did. Again, this is in 2016 after he won the election, before he got sworn in, after he won. Remember, I saw friends of mine going out and doing demonstrations. Not my president. You remember that one? After he won the election, he was declared the winner. People were out protesting, not my president, after he won. And these are people I personally know were doing this. And then they had remember the pink hats, the pink P-word hats? I don't know if I can say that word. Let's try it. The pink pussy hats, when they did the demonstrations with the females. I don't even know what they called that march. Some of y'all listening to this probably participated in that march. Don't lie. But anyway, they had that. They had that down here in Miami. They had the Not My President down here in Miami. So I know they were doing it in other cities. Miami is not that crazy when it comes to people getting involved in politics. But anyway, that happened. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, maybe, just maybe I was just getting wrong information. Maybe I was getting bad information. Maybe all these people, and this is the other thing, and I've said this before, I've been to damn near every state in the United States. I've been to 10 plus countries. I have a lot of life experience. I've dealt with a lot of different people from all different walks of life, all different colors, different socioeconomic backgrounds, and religions, races, etc. I said, I've dealt with too many people in America to believe because the way that they framed the election in 2016 was that anyone who's going to vote for Trump must be racist, misogynist, you hate minorities, you hate women, you only want to support old white men, and you don't support any other group. And anybody who votes for him, that must be what it is. So in order for him to win the election, he had to win about half of the votes. About half the people had to vote for him. Now, I know he didn't win the popular election, but you get my point. He didn't win the popular vote, but about half the people voted for him. I said, there's no way that half of the people in America are all those things. Racist, misogynist, only want to support white. There's no way. I've met too many people. I've had too much experience. That can't be possible. I had to reconcile this in my mind. There was a conflict going on in my mind. And this is where cognitive dissonance usually sets in for people. And this is what's happened to a lot of people. If you listen to them, still to this very day, it's been almost 10 years since Trump first put his name into the political ring. 10 years later, I still see people saying on social media, if you vote for Trump, you had to be racist, misogynist, you're a terrible person, you have no morals, you're a bad person, etc. That's cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is basically taking some conflict in your mind and deciding that whatever you believed previously must just be true. You just triple down on it. I went the opposite direction because I was experiencing the dissonance because they said anybody who votes for him is all these terrible things. I said, I know too many people and I met too many people and been too many places for half the people in the country to be like that. Let me question where I was getting my information. So here's what I started doing. This is late 2016. So it was around this time, but after the election. I started going on social media and following some of the people who were actually saying positive stuff about Trump. I started listening to what they were saying. I started following some of them on Twitter. Back then it was Twitter. I started watching some of their live streams. I started listening to some of their podcasts. I started reading some of their blogs. And I started listening to what they were saying. And I came to realize in very short order, this happened over a span of a couple of days. Oh, wait a minute. These people are not racist, misogynist, against anybody who's not them. They're not that. And I found some people who were black that were supporting it. I found some people who were white who were not any of these terrible things. I started listening to what they said, and I came to a realization very quickly that the mistake had been made by me. It wasn't that these people were bad. It was that I had only been taking in information that verified what I'd already been conditioned to believe, indoctrinated to believe. And I'm the one who had gotten into this mental ghetto of only consuming material that further validated what I'd already been told. And I realized that I needed to expand my horizons and listen to some other people who were saying some things that were exact opposite of what I had believed. And I came to realize, wait a minute, these people are actually making sense. And this is what they call, if you saw the movie The Matrix, this is what they call the red pill. This is when I started to take the red pill and realize that I had been duped by the media, traditional media, social media, independent media. And the way I had been duped is not because they made a mistake, but I had made a mistake of only consuming certain types of information from certain sources. And when I started to expand my sources, that's when I realized, oh, this is a whole game that's being played here. And here's the issue, because I'm not the only one who had that happen. Maybe some of you had the same thing happen or came to the same realizations, or maybe you didn't get duped as hard as I got duped. But here's what's happened in media since then. And when I say media, I mean all media. I mean traditional media like ABC, NBC, also independent media, like people like me, people with platforms, people with podcasts, blogs, etc., influencers, all of that. Here's what's happened over the last, let's say, 10 years when it comes to Trump specifically. And he's one of the reasons why this topic is being talked about, is that people have just tripled down on what they already believed. And the reason this is because of human nature. It's not because, but actually it can't be because of his actual first administration, because in his first term, all these things they said were going to happen, none of them happened. Slavery didn't happen again. They didn't destroy anybody's rights or freedoms. None of those things happened, even though they told us it was going to happen. And here we are, 2014. They're saying the same thing they said in 2016. Wait a minute. Y'all said that in 2016. It didn't happen. Anytime I see somebody saying something, I'm like, yo, y'all said that in 2016. It didn't happen. Y'all just going to run back the exact same points because they don't have anything else. And people have tripled down on the same things they were saying then that were already proven to not be true. Again, if you're not sharing the truth, you are lying. Now they're lying. They're lying. Now nobody can. Maybe back then I would give you benefit of the doubt. If in 2016 you were saying all these terrible things are going to happen if he wins, I would give you benefit of the doubt because we didn't know. All right, you don't know. You have the unknown. Now he's been president for 4 years already. All right, he went away for 4 years. Now he's back. All right, we already know what it looks like when he wins. So if you're saying the same things now that you were saying in 2016, now there's no doubt that you're lying because you already know that that's not the way it goes. All right, we can't give you the benefit of the doubt anymore. So these people are lying to you. As I told you, you're either telling the truth or you're lying. There's no such thing as misinformation. There's no such thing as disinformation. You're telling the truth or you are lying. Clear, black and white, binaries. All right, we don't do gray areas. You're either on this side of the line or you're on that side of the line. And why is this though? Why is it that these people, these are well-educated, those of you who value quote unquote education, people with degrees, et cetera, whatever, certifications, qualifications, all right, these are well-educated people. These are articulate people. These are smart people. These are professionals. They've been in business for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They're well-known. Their word is well-trusted. How can all of these people be lying to you on purpose? Why is that? Because that sounds good, Dre, but tell me how that makes sense. I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you why that makes sense. Here's how it makes sense. Human nature is such constituted that a human being is more likely to follow their emotions than to follow logic. See, what I just explained to you is logic. I explained to you how I logically caught myself in the wrong space and said, wait a minute, we got to examine this because it doesn't add up. Most people don't do that. Most people come to a conclusion based on emotion, and all they do is go find facts, quote unquote facts, that verify and validate the emotion that they've already bought into. Any of you knows anything about sales, you know what they say. People decide based on emotion and they validate with logic. That's how human beings operate, all human beings. Everyone is susceptible to this. Some people are much more susceptible than others. I tend to lean very heavily towards the logical side, but doesn't mean I don't have emotions. I can make decisions emotionally and come up with logical conclusions to them too. But I am a type of person, because again, I'm a critical thinker and I tend to lean very heavily to the logical side, that I will question my emotions with logic on some subjects, not on every subject. But on subjects like this one, in which I have no emotional buy-in, I'm able to question things logically. One of the reasons I'm able to talk about this in the way that I do, folks, is because I have no emotional buy-in politically. I'm not emotionally bought into the Democrats. I'm not emotionally bought into the Republicans. I'm not emotionally bought into Obama or Clinton or Harris or Biden. I'm not emotionally bought into Trump or Bush or who was before that, the other Bush or Reagan. He was before I was even born. I'm not emotionally bought into any of these people, or either side. Therefore, I can talk about these things logically because I really don't give a damn on either side of what happens to who or when or where. Most people can't do that because they are not that, what I just described. And any of you take any subject in life, if we took politics out of it, in which you are not emotionally engaged, like you don't have any emotional reason for things to go one way or another, you're able to look at it logically. But things in which you're emotionally engaged, it's hard for you to do this. It's hard for you to step back and look at it on a logical level. That's what I started doing in 2016. Again, that was the red pill for me to start understanding, oh, they out here just lying to people. Okay, so let me continue here on point number 2. All right, there is no such thing as your truth or my truth. Any of you ever use that phrase? All right, that's bullshit. No such thing. There is no such thing as my truth and your truth. There is no such thing. There is only the truth. There is only one truth. I can't have a truth and then you have a truth. No, bullshit. There is one truth, period. One truth that's all the facts in full context. So when someone says, I'm just speaking my truth, there's no such thing as your truth. Truth is not proprietary. Everybody understand what that means? Proprietary means you personally own it. Like, there's no Dre Baldwin truth. And then there's a Mike truth, and then there's a Lisa truth, and there's a Sally truth, and Justin has a truth. No, one truth. Anybody tells you that they're telling you their truth, let me tell you what they're actually doing. And again, this is human nature. When someone tells you that they're telling you their truth, what they're really saying is their opinions and beliefs. But instead of saying my opinion, they say my truth. Now, why does that matter? And these words matter. Words matter. Why does someone say my truth instead of my opinion? Or say in my belief? The reason they say that is because if I come to you and say, here's my opinion, well, guess what you can do? You can challenge my opinion. You can question my opinion. You can push back on my opinion. If I tell you, here's my belief, you can challenge my belief. You can push back on my belief. You can ask me a whole bunch of questions about my belief. But if I tell you I'm telling you my truth, well, what does that sound like? Well, you can't really question another person's truth. See, you get it? See, this is all language games. And again, people who put this stuff out into society know exactly what they're doing. These are not dumb people. So just because you disagree with a person, do not consider them stupid. They actually are usually pretty smart. They can be smart and still be deceitful. And these people are deceiving you on purpose. This is the reason why you got to be careful with my truth. And I know of all you listening to this, somebody, whether you're watching on replay or you're watching live, some of you are guilty of this. All right. So don't be mad at me for pointing it out. All right. Just catch yourself. All right, there's no such thing as my truth. All right, everybody got it? Okay. Just want to make sure I'm clear on that point. My truth is an escape tactic that people use to block anyone from challenging their perspective. That's what my truth means. I'm just sharing my truth. It's like somebody comes to your house, right? Somebody comes to your house and says, your furniture is ugly, your wife is not attractive, and the food that you made is terrible. And I'm like, yo, like, how you in my house disrespecting my stuff when you just came in my house? And they say, oh, I'm sorry, Jordan, I'm just telling you my truth. All right, does that even make sense? No, it's bullshit. You can't just come in and throw stuff at someone in their home and then say, well, it's just my truth, so you can't question it. No, you're sharing your opinion, and you're not going to share a disrespectful opinion about my house in my house. You got to get out of the house. No, it's just my truth. All right, is that acceptable? Of course not. All right, everybody understand this. All right, so no such thing as my truth. Number 3, you can argue facts. All right, facts can be argued. You cannot argue truth. I already told you this. And any person, circumstance, entity, situation, you can make things look bad or you can make them look good. I can make you look like a genius. I can make you look like a complete fool. If I get enough information about you, I can just pull facts out of context and make you look whichever way I want to make you look. Any of you go look around, any influencer who's well-known enough and they've been around enough and they got enough content, they only got to be known. As long as you have enough content out there, someone could go through all your stuff and make you look like however they want to make you look because they can just pull stuff out of context. Okay? When truth is presented, there's no debate. You cannot debate truth. You can debate facts. You cannot debate truth when the entire truth is presented. This is why any of you who's ever been to court or you watch Law and Order or some court TV show, what do they say when you get on the stand? When you get on the stand as a witness, what do they say? They say, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. No one ever says, are you going to tell your opinion? No one ever says, are you going to tell us what you believe? No one ever says, are you going to tell us your truth? They say, you're going to tell the truth. If I got that wrong, somebody let me know. When you go to court, they don't ask you to tell your truth. We want to know the truth because the judge and the jury are going to decide based on the truth, not your truth. All right, this is not about you. It's about the truth. We want to know the whole truth so we can decide, is this person guilty or is this person innocent? Right? Do we have a case here or do we not? Okay, so it's not about, a lot of times when people are debating these things, it's about manipulating facts. That's what you see in social media and the internet, especially in politics. People are just manipulating facts and just trying to influence and persuade, which is fine. Influence and persuasion is a thing. I'm gonna get to that in 1 second. But you got to know if you're dealing with mere facts or you're dealing with the truth. So now let's flip to the other thing that I'm going to talk about here today is why facts don't matter anymore. So now that I laid that foundation, and again, those of you who are new over here, if you're new to me, I like to lay foundations of understanding before I even get to the details of what I want to tell you. Because if I just tell you the thing without the foundation, that you may not get it. But I got to make sure you had a foundation so you can absorb the point. So why do facts not matter? Okay, why do facts not matter? First person I heard explain this was a guy named Scott Adams. Some of you may be familiar with Scott. If you're not familiar with him, you may know his work. He used to write a cartoon called Dilbert. Remember the Dilbert cartoon in the newspapers? Again, some of you may not be old enough to remember. If you're over the age of 35, you remember newspapers, and there was a cartoon there called Dilbert. Scott Adams is the guy who created that cartoon. Now, for some reason, I don't know why Scott decided to do this, but around the time that Trump came out, Scott started doing content and talking about why he thought Trump was going to win. This is way before Trump won. He was predicting Trump was going to win. And he wrote a book right after the 2016 election called Win Bigly. If you have not heard of the book, so somebody put that in the comments. It's called Win, W-I-N, Bigly, B-I-G-L-Y. And in that book, he explained why facts don't matter anymore. He helped basically contextualize what had happened with Trump and why many people look at the quote unquote facts about Trump and say, how can anybody vote for this guy? How is he able to persuade people when he keeps doing this, this, and this? And Scott helped lay it out actually pretty well. So you should go read that book. And he talks about persuasion in a world where facts don't matter. And when I read that book, I got a much better understanding of why things went the way they went and why things are going even right now the way they're going, whether Trump wins or not. It helped me understand this. Okay, it helped me understand the difference between facts and truth and why facts, as I've already laid the foundation here today, why facts don't matter anymore. And by the way, I'm going to take questions and comments at the end. Why do facts not matter anymore? And let me be clear, when I tell you that facts don't matter, it's not actually, I would prefer to be lived in a world where all the facts matter more than they do these days. I would rather facts matter, but they don't. The reason why I would rather the facts matter is I just told you, I tend to think I'm an extremely logical person. I try to look at things very rationally, dispassionately, and logically, and keep emotion out of the equation. I tend to be that type of person. So I prefer facts mattering. But since facts don't matter anymore, I had to adjust. And I'm going to help you understand that adjustment here today. Not about me, but about all of you. Number one, human beings are very highly subjective to strong persuasion. This is what y'all got to understand. Thank you, Tommy, for putting that comment in there. Human beings are highly subjective to very strong persuasion. We are surrounded by persuasion these days. Now, persuasion has always been a thing. There's a book called Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, Cialdini. I think I spelled that right. The book is called Persuasion. It's a classic book when it comes to influencing human beings. If you haven't read that book, you should read it. And persuasion, again, as I said, has always been a thing, but now we're hit with it all the time because we don't have these agreed upon sources of information. That's what's changed. So again, back in the days, let's say 25 years ago and earlier. So you're old enough to remember this time period. When we wanted the news, what did we do? We turned on the TV and you had like 4 or 5 options. You had NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, and that's pretty much it. It was pretty much all the options you had back then. And now those companies all still exist. NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, they all still exist. And CNN came along. That's when we started getting cable TV. Because back in the days, let's say back in the 90s, let's keep it there. You didn't have so many channels on TV. Cable TV came out and then, oh my God, we got 100 channels. Nowadays, how many channels we got? We got an infinite number of channels because if any of you decides to get on TikTok and do a live stream, you are a channel. When you start a YouTube account, what do they call your YouTube? Literally, it's called a channel. All right, everyone has a channel. So these days, well, let me back up. Back then, if you wanted to get the information, we were all getting information from 3 or 4 sources. So we were all, when I say we, I mean human beings, we were all pretty much on the same page as to what the information was. We didn't come to the same conclusions and opinions about the information, but we all had the same information. Everybody understand? So even if I watch NBC and you watch ABC and she watched Fox and he watched CBS, we all got the same information because it was only coming from 4 different sources. We all were in agreement as to what the info is. Now I got my opinion, you got yours, she got hers, he got his, but we were all on the same page as far as the information. Nowadays, we're getting information from, everyone is getting information from different places. So I'm looking on TikTok right now while I'm talking. And it says on TikTok that this live so far has been viewed 1,700 times. And right now is 97 people in the room. All 97 of us could be getting information from a different place, all at the same time. And it could all be based in facts. And therefore, when they bring all 97 of us into a room and we start talking about the facts, each one of us has a different set of facts. Do you understand how much chaos that creates? You understand how chaotic that environment can be? When everybody's information coming from a different place. All right, this is why we have the problem that we have here today. It's not because of Trump. It's not because of any social media platform. That's because we are all getting information from somewhere different. So we can't even agree on the facts, let alone can we agree on the truth. So this is why facts don't matter. All right, so when I'm explaining to you why facts don't matter, this is one of the reasons why facts don't matter, because I have facts, you got facts, she got facts, he got facts, and they're all different and they're all accurate, yet we can't even agree on what the facts are. How can we have any conversation about anything? We can't even agree on the damn facts. You tell me. How can we do that? We can't get anywhere close to the truth until we agree on the facts. So you got 10 facts from over here. I got 10 facts from over there. She got 10 facts from over there. All right, how are we going to get anywhere in a conversation? We can't, because your facts are against this person. My facts are for this person. All right, what are we doing? All that's going to lead to is conflict. That's all it leads to. This is what happens. And this is the reason why we can't come to a conclusion on anything. And it's not necessarily because people are trying to deceive you. Sometimes they are trying to deceive you. Sometimes they're just trying to persuade you. This is what the news does these days. This is what media does. Actually, let me not say the news. All people do this. All right. Because there's somebody out there with a podcast. They're doing the same thing that NBC and CNN and Fox is doing. They're looking to influence you and persuade you by telling you the facts that serve the conclusion that they want you to come to. This is the reason why. Think about it, folks. What do they call people who are popular on the internet? What's the word that they use? It starts with the letter I. Somebody put it in the comments.
What's the word they use to describe people who are very popular on the internet and they got fans and they say stuff and people listen to them? What are they called? There's a word for it. What's that word? Everybody knows the word. Influencers. That's what they call it. They call it influencers. The whole point is to influence you and get you to think a certain way. Influence does not mean, they're not called informers. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. These words matter. Words matter. Notice that popular people on the internet are not called informers. They're not called truth tellers. They're not called fact finders. They are called influencers. Their job is to influence you, not to give you the truth, not to give you the facts, and not to educate you. The job is to influence you. It doesn't matter what they influence you to do as long as they influence you. All right. Why do you think there are girls on OnlyFans who make more money in a month than a school teacher makes in a year? Because what they're doing is influencing you. Is necessarily good? Who provides more value to the society? A second grade teacher or a girl on OnlyFans? Who provides more value to society? I think most people would agree the second grade teacher. I would say. But who's more influential? I say the OnlyFans girl, because she got more fans. The OnlyFans girl can reach 1 million people in an hour, whereas a school teacher can only serve 30 people in a year. Because you got a classroom of 30 kids and she teaches them for the whole year. All right, she get 30 new ones next year. So over the course of 10 years, the school teacher might influence 300 people, whereas the OnlyFans girl can influence 1 million people in an hour. Think about it. Think about this, folks. This is what the internet has provided. And it's not that I'm even necessarily against the OnlyFans girl. I'm just giving you an example. So what matters in the world today, folks, is not information, but influence. That's what matters. If you can influence and persuade a mass of people in a short period of time, you have power. But if your reach is smaller than someone else's, they have more power than you do because they can simply get their message to more people than you can, even if your message. Now, actually, let me back up. Let me tell you where the crazy part is. So let's say you got the school teacher, right? And you got the OnlyFans girl. OnlyFans girl got 1 million fans. School teacher got 30 students, right? The school teacher can influence 30 people a year. OnlyFans girl influences 1 million people a year. Now, what if the OnlyFans girl decides to pull some facts out of context and just keep sharing the same 3 facts over and over and over again over the course of a year? Those facts are not the truth, but she keeps sharing them over and over again. 1 million people are being influenced by that, and we call it the repeater fallacy. You repeat anything over and over again, the subconscious mind eventually picks it up and accepts it as reality. That doesn't matter what it is. One of the 3 ways to program the subconscious mind is through repetition. You hear anything over and over and over again, you will eventually accept it as reality. It can be a complete lie. You will accept it. Now, the school teacher is giving you the truth. The truth needs time to be absorbed. You got to hear it over and over again, over time, and you got to get all the context, which means you can't get the truth in 20 minutes. You got to take in the truth over the course of 20 weeks. This is why a college semester is several months. It's not just one day. All right, you got to take in that material over an extended period of time. Now, let me ask you a question. What did I just ask you about 20 minutes ago? When you see someone scrolling through social media, how much time do they give each piece of content before they swipe to the next one? Do people sit and watch content for 20 minutes before they go to the next one? What about you? They should have a tracker on here on social media. They should have a tracker on there. I don't know if they do. Somebody tell me if they do. Where, like, let's say TikTok, you go into your TikTok profile insights and they'll tell you, here's how many posts you actually looked at today. How many posts did you look at today? Some of you, the answer is in the thousands. You're looking at 1,000 posts in a day. How can you look at 1,000 posts in a day? How much time do you have? How much time do you need to give to each one in order to look at it and go to the next one? You're literally looking at things 1 second at a time. How can you absorb the truth in 3 seconds? I told you, you get 3 seconds. They tell you on YouTube, you get 3 seconds to engage the audience before they click away and go to the next video. You tell me, how the hell is anybody going to absorb the truth when you're only given material 3 seconds before you move on to the next one? This is the reason why we are in a state of chaos. This is the reason why they call it an information war. You ever heard of that? There's a guy named, I'm pretty sure I can't say this guy's name on TikTok. He has a platform called InfoWars. Y'all know who I'm talking about. His initials are AJ. Some of you can put his name in the comments. Maybe be careful because they might block you for putting his name in the comments. So be careful. I know who I'm talking about, right? AJ, the guy who got sued for like $1 billion because of what he said about the event that happened several years ago. That guy, all right, his platform is literally called Information Wars. Why is that? Why is the platform called Information Wars? That's where we're at. And he's been saying that for 20 years. He's been saying that for 20 years. This dude knows his stuff. Doesn't mean he's right about everything, but he knows his stuff. He was talking about that 20 years ago. Information Wars. He knew where we were going. We're here now. In case any of you didn't know. Y'all think America's not at war right now? Yes, we are. Information war. We're in a war of information. Nobody wants to hear the truth. Everyone's debating facts, and we all getting facts from different places. This is why facts don't matter. So last week when I said facts don't matter, a bunch of people got incredulous in the comments, like, Dre, what do you mean facts don't matter? Now I'm explaining to you why they don't matter. All right, you're starting to get it now? You're starting to understand why facts don't matter? This is why they don't matter. Because we get these so-called facts from different sources. Some have credibility, some don't. Some are trying to deceive you, some are not. Some may be telling you something that's accurate, some aren't. And everyone's getting it from a different place. And we all come to believe what we receive over and over again. This is where, again, this leads to a state of chaos. So there's a scientific law. It's called the law of entropy. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. The law of entropy states that any object left to its own devices eventually descends into a state of chaos and disorder. Let me give you an example of the law of entropy, if you never heard the phrase. If you have a garden in front of your house, like a lawn with flowers, and you don't cut the grass or pull the weeds for 3 months, what happens to your front lawn? It looks terrible, right? Your house starts to look like nobody lives there. Like if you live in a private community, that homeowners association gonna come knock on your door like, yo, the rule is, not the law, but the rule is you got to tend to your grass. If you don't tend to your grass, we're going to fine you and get you kicked out of this house because you got to make sure your lawn looks the right way, right? If you don't tend to the lawn starts looking terrible, right? All right. If you don't go to the gym or work out at all for 6 months, what happens to your body? All right. You know what happens to your body. You start looking terrible. All right. You start looking fat and flabby and out of shape. All right. Some of you might be there right now because you haven't worked out in 6 months. If you don't take care of your teeth, if you don't brush your teeth or floss for a month, what's going to happen to your teeth and to your gums? It's going to look bad, and you're going to be at the dentist with a toothache because you can't go to sleep. All right, anything that's left on its own, and there are no guardrails, there are no standards, there are no principles keeping things in order, you get chaos. The reason why we have information wars these days and we have chaos amongst humans when it comes to information is because there is no guardrail telling us, okay, here's where everyone's going to get the streamlined message. Now, let me be clear on this. There are dangers to having all the messages come from just a few places. Was the reason why social media became so popular, because people got tired of hearing the same messages from the same places. Well, how about we let everybody share their message? Let's democratize this and let anyone say whatever it is they want to say. Now we have social media. So this is good for somebody like myself, because had that not happened, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now. So there's a positive and there's a negative, but understand there's an author by the name of Thomas Sowell, Sowell. Those of you not familiar with him, look him up, read his books. He talks about this, that there are no perfect scenarios in life. There are only trade-offs. Everything has a trade-off. The trade-off of all the messages coming from NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox is that they could collude and say, all right, we're going to tell everybody the same thing. And anybody who doesn't go against this must be a complete idiot. You saw this happen with the virus a few years ago. All right. Everyone was on the same page with the same message, and they were giving us some lies, not misinformation. They were lying. We know they were lying. The Center for Disease Control lied to us. They said, if you take this thing in your arm, you can't get sick. Did they say that? Yes, they said that. The president said that. Both presidents, the Democrat and the Republican, said that. They were lying. They weren't misinforming. They were lying. They knew exactly what they were doing. This is the trade-off of all the messages coming from one place. Now, the trade-off of the messages coming from everywhere is that some random person who you don't know from anywhere could be lying to you as well. So any of you who thought that there was a perfect conclusion here, there isn't one. There's no perfect conclusion. There's no perfect outcome. No matter what you do, there's something you got to give up. There's an author by the name of Elizabeth Gilbert. Now, I don't know her work too well. I read one of her books, but one of the things that she said, I'll give her credit for this. She said, in life, there's always a shit sandwich that you have to eat. Shit sandwich. No matter what you do, there's a shit sandwich. So the question is not whether or not you're going to eat it. The question is, what flavor of sandwich would you like to eat? Meaning, if you own a house, the shit sandwich is anything goes wrong in the house, you got to fix it. You got to fix the hinges on the door. The sink doesn't work. The pipes burst. Something's wrong with the lawn. You got to fix it. That's the trade-off. But the other side of it is you own the house, and now you have an asset that can go on your balance sheet, technically. If you decide to rent a house, good news is anything goes wrong, you make a phone call, and whoever owns the house, they go fix it. They got to come fix it. They got to spend their money. They got to send the repairman. They got to take care of it. It's all on them to fix. The trade-off is you got to abide by the rules of the person who owns the house, because they get to set the rules because it's their house. All right, so there's a trade-off to everything. Everybody understand what I'm saying here? Thank you for whatever that was. Whoever's sending me badges on TikTok, I appreciate y'all. I see that. The trade-off, folks, understand there's a trade-off to everything. Any of you who is a single person, the good news is you're not committed to anybody. You can do whatever you want, dating-wise, relationship-wise, sexual-wise. But on the flip side, sometimes you may be at Thanksgiving or Christmas and you ain't got nobody to spend it with because you're bouncing around. You're not committed to anybody. If you're married, the trade-off is, the good news is you have one person you're committed to, they're committed to you, and y'all can spend the holidays together and you care for each other, et cetera, et cetera. Trade-off is you get on the internet and you start scrolling through and you see a whole bunch of things that look tempting to you, but damn, I'm committed, so I can't do that. So there's a trade-off to everything, folks. And by the way, those of y'all who are new over here, I talk about this stuff all the time. I got a show that comes out every day called Work on Your Game. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, et cetera. Let me continue what I'm talking about. Someone comes out with a fake story that sounds good and you strongly dislike whoever they're talking about, you will buy into it, even if logically it doesn't quite add up. Why? Because emotions bypass the logical centers of the brain. You can get people emotional, they will do things that logically make no sense. So have you ever seen a person doing something that logically didn't make any sense? Of course you have. Have you ever done something that didn't logically make any sense? Of course you have. Why? Because if you can trigger someone's emotions, logic does not matter. Logic does not matter if you can get someone emotional. So this is why, any of you ever been in an argument with someone and they got really angry and they start saying things to you that they probably shouldn't have said. So maybe we're at the point that it either ruined the relationship or you had to beat them up or they had to come apologize to you the next day. Why is it? Because when people get emotional, they stop thinking logically. And if you can trigger someone emotionally day after day after day after day with hand-picked facts that are taken out of context, well, guess what? They will stop thinking logically. This is how it works. This is the reason why popular people on the internet are not called informers. They are called influencers for a reason. The whole point is to influence you, not necessarily to inform you. And people can influence you with bad information. They can influence you with lies. How many of you ever found yourself and caught yourself, damn, I believe that was a lie? Has any of you, anytime in the last, let's say 5 years, come to realize that you were believing a lie? And oh, damn, I believed a lie for a long time. Why? Because someone influenced you with that lie. And they influence you usually by triggering your emotions first, then they give you the lie. As soon as you get someone emotional, they're open to whatever you give them. That's how it works. All right. So if you could understand and this happens all day, every day. I just told you, misleading people with propaganda, and all propaganda is facts taken out of context and just repeated over and over again. So the media has become full-time propagandists. And many of you may have some beliefs in your head that are based on propaganda, but if you understood the full context, you would unbelieve some of the nonsense. Some of you went to school for 12 years, 15 years, 20 years. If you went to like grad school and advanced degrees, and you got a whole bunch of propaganda put into your head by the educational system, especially in the United States, that if you understood that it was propaganda, you wouldn't believe it anymore. This is what happens. And again, this is persuasion. This is the power of persuasion. This is the reason why facts don't matter. Facts don't matter because persuasion is stronger than facts. It didn't used to be this way. 20, 30 years ago, let's say 30 years ago, you were more moved by facts because there were fewer people trying to persuade you. People just gave you the facts. If you watch the news, those of you who are old enough, you're over the age of, let's say 35, you remember how the news was back in the day. You can turn the news on. They just gave you the facts. They just gave you what happened. Now, of course, if it bleeds, it leads. That was always the thing. They might open the news with telling you about the storm that's coming or the car accident or some shooting that happened around the corner. But for the most part, they were just giving you the facts of what happened. They weren't really giving you their opinions. They weren't telling you what you're supposed to think. And they weren't trying to influence or persuade you in any direction. All right. They might lean a little bit, but not like they're doing now. Now they're like all the way over here or all the way over there. Now they're trying to influence and persuade you. And again, facts don't matter anymore. So anyone, again, want to understand why I said facts don't matter, now you get it. Let's move on. And I'll try to wrap this up soon. Next, the democratization of publishing has made it easy to create and consume any facts that you want. This is the issue with the publishing world, social media. Anybody can write a book. Anybody can start a radio show. They're called podcasts. Anybody can start a TV network. That's called YouTube. Anyone can basically give you micro bits of material, whatever it is. That's called social media, TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube, Rumble, LinkedIn, anybody, Facebook, anybody give you a little bits of information, whether it's true or not. And this is the democratization of publishing. And again, it's a good thing because it allows people like me and you to put ourselves out there and build an audience without having to go through the traditional channels. The trade-off is I could be telling you some complete bullshit and you might be influenced by it, even though it's not true. And you could do the same thing. You could influence 1 million people with some bullshit and nobody will even know it's bullshit because they like you. So they're going to listen to everything that you said, even though you're lying. That's the trade-off of the democratization of publishing, is that people can say anything that they want to say, and there's no one trying to, quote unquote, fact check or verify what you're saying. Fact checking is another nonsense point as well, because people can pick and choose what's facts to check. Y'all see the debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, the one time they debated? Y'all see that one debate? So the issue with that debate was that the moderators decided to fact check Donald Trump multiple times, but they never fact checked Kamala Harris. And now the people who like Harris, they said, well, they didn't have to fact check Kamala because she didn't tell any lies. That's bullshit. She did. She said several things that were not true. I posted it on Instagram the very next day. 4 or 5 things that she said that were not true. They were actual lies. And the moderators didn't say a single thing. But when Donald Trump says stuff, they try to fact check him. See, this is the reason why fact checking doesn't matter anymore. Again, this is why facts don't matter. All right, people pick and choose when they want to talk about a fact, and then they ignore it other times, and then they say, well, we fact check. Nonsense. Kamala repeated for example, I'll give you one. She repeated the Charlottesville hoax. Find people on both sides. I remember Donald Trump allegedly said that, find people on both sides. Factually, he said it, but truthfully, he said other things. In context, he said a bunch of stuff. And if you just pull it out of context, did he say there are fine people on both sides? Yes. Then when you get the full context, he said, not these people, they should be condemned totally. I can't even say the name because TikTok might kick me off for saying the name. But he said that in full context. If you go with the quote unquote fact checking, then did he say it? But they didn't fact check Kamala when she said that. That's one example. There are 4 or 5 other things they didn't fact check her on, just off the top of my head. And people who study this stuff picked out even more. So you got to be careful with this, folks. And again, you got to be careful consuming it. You got to be careful delivering it. And this is the reason why I tell you that most people, I said this as a tongue-in-cheek joke that I often repeat, that if you haven't seen any of your high school classmates in a few years, don't worry. They only got older, fatter, and uglier because most people do not change. Most people do not change, do not grow because most people don't think. There are 3 truths about human beings. People don't think, they don't read, and they're lazy. Shall I say that one again? People don't think, they don't read, and they're lazy. Therefore, most people come to a certain set of conclusions very early in life, and they stick to those conclusions for the rest of their lives, regardless of any information, quote unquote, facts or truth that is presented to them. They will continue to believe what they already believed when they were 19 years old. You could be 70 years old today. You still believe the same stuff you believed at 19, regardless of what gets presented to you, regardless of what you experience, and regardless of what you see, hear, or feel. You just keep thinking the same things. And everything you experience, you will just find a reason to further validate and affirm what you already have chosen to believe. This is how most people operate. Therefore, and this is something I say also, I am not in the business of changing minds. So any of you who's listening to this and you are vehemently disagreeing with the things that I say, that's completely fine. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm not in the business of trying to change people's minds because it's an exercise in futility. Most people decide what they want to believe and they will just keep believing it no matter what you say. And there's some people who I know, like, trust, and respect as human beings who I have had conversations with them to where I'm telling them, like, what you believe is bullshit and here's why, A, B, C, D, E. And they still don't want to change it. And that's when I realized, like, this is a waste of time. Most people are not changing their minds about anything. So I'm looking for people who actually either are already seeing the things that I'm saying, or you're open-minded enough to where you actually are open to changing the way that you look at things. I'm looking for that segment of the population. I'm not looking to change anybody's mind who disagrees with me. Trying to change people's minds is a waste of time. So any of you find yourself doing that, don't do it. Save your time, save your money, save your energy, focus on, as they say, preaching to the choir. Talk to people who already agree with you. You're better off doing that. There's another trade-off of the fact that we have all these platforms is that Now you can just consume whatever you want to believe. So if you hate the Democrats, you can just consume material all day from people who hate the Democrats. And if you hate the Republicans, you can consume material all day from people who hate the Republicans. And then when the people who hate the Democrats, the people who hate Republicans come together, they can't get on the same page on anything because both of them have been so deeply indoctrinated with hearing the same messages forever for 5 years that they can't even shake hands. This is where we're at, folks. So that guy, AJ, you know what I'm talking about? InfoWars. I can't say his name because they might kick me off TikTok for saying his name. Y'all know who I'm talking about. That guy, the guy with the raspy voice and the chubby guy with the bald head, kind of bald head. That guy, information wars. All right, we're in an information war right now today. So if you thought the country wasn't at war, we are at war and it's ongoing. Last point. First impressions are lasting for most humans. I just explained this to you. Most people come to a certain set of conclusions when they're 19 and they never change those conclusions for the rest of their lives. Everything they experience, they just give it more reasons to affirm what they already have chosen to believe, even if it makes no sense. So again, if the persuasive lie gets to you before the truth, then that persuasive lie will entrench itself into your mind and you will never change. This is why it's a complete waste of time to go back and forth with people on the internet who have a different opinion from you. I do it for entertainment purposes, entertaining myself and also entertaining the audience who might be listening, just to hear how I address people's nonsense. But I'm not doing it because I'm trying to change your mind. So any of you who has a comment that you disagree with what I'm saying, I'm gonna go through the comments in a minute. I'm not responding to your comment because I think I'm going to change your mind. That's not my point. I'll respond to your comment because it's entertaining to me just to hear what you have to say and to it's like sparring. It's like sparring in a boxing gym. Like, I know you're going to try to hit me and I'm just hit you back. I'm doing it for entertainment purposes and just for sharpening my sword. And maybe some of you who might deal with people like them, you can maybe pull some things away from what I'm doing and using it yourself. But do not try to change anybody's mind. Again, complete waste of time. So I wouldn't have these conversations with somebody in private. And the reason why I like talking about these publicly, because at least I could talk to a bunch of you at the same time. I wouldn't talk to one person like this. If one person doesn't understand why facts don't matter, I'm not going to sit here for an hour and a half and explain to them why facts don't matter. That's way too much time for too little return on investment. But if I take the same message and I share it on the internet, now 100 people or 1,000 people or 10,000 people can get the message. Now I'm getting a better return on investment for my time. Everyone understands? So this is the reason why I do this, because I would never have this conversation with any of you one-on-one unless you were paying me a lot of money. My hourly rate is pretty high, but I will talk to a whole bunch of you at the same time, and I'll do it for free like I'm doing right now, just so y'all can get the point. So I can influence people who hear me talk, and I also don't have a problem with people, again, opposing me. I get negative insults, negative comments. I get them mostly on X / Twitter, but that's fine with me. I'm open to those things. If you're not open to that, don't get in this game. Okay, stay watching, listen, but don't get involved. This is a rough game. The info war is a rough war. You thought just because the info war, there's no weapons. Words are weapons. All right, all that said, let me recap the points I've given you here today. Then I'm going to take questions and comments. You got questions and comments, get them ready in 1 second. If you're on anything other than TikTok, post your questions and comments now. If you're on TikTok, wait till I get over there because there's so many that I can't scroll through all of them, but I will address the ones that come up. So first, facts are not the truth. Facts can be taken out of context. Okay, Michael Jordan was 2 for 22, one game. That's a fact. But the Bulls won the championship that year. That's also a fact. See, the whole context is all the story, not just the pieces you take out of context. Truth is the whole picture. All right. And there's only one picture. There's only one truth. There's no such thing as my truth or your truth. There is only one truth. Yeah, you have your beliefs, you have your opinions, you have your story, and you have your experience. But there is no your truth. So put the right word on it when you're telling what you believe is your belief. It's not your truth. Number 3, you can argue about facts. You cannot argue about the truth. There's no arguing the truth. It just is what it is. If people are arguing about the truth, it's because they don't know the truth. When you know the truth, there's nothing to argue. Number 3, and not number 3, moving on. Why facts don't matter. I just gave y'all this. Human beings are very subjective, highly subjective, rather, to strong persuasion. When you can persuade a person, facts no longer matter. Number 2, the democratization of publishing has made it easier to create and consume any facts that you want, whether they are accurate or not. And number 3, first impressions are lasting for most humans. And if you get to people's emotions, then it doesn't matter what you give them logically. They are never hearing anything else that you have to say. So if you want to persuade people, give them something that triggers them emotionally. They will never hear anything that comes through logically. So let me address Instagram comments, and then we'll go over to TikTok. Josh Smimmy, glad you got something out of this. Glad you got value out of this. D1 Lifetime, what's going on, sir? Good morning. Someone said lawyers too. Well, yes, lawyers is part of the profession. Yes, you have to massage, right? You got to massage the facts and use the ones that serve you. Exactly. Crespo and Mark Trill would say, y'all want to hear me talk about the race hustlers? I'm gonna do a whole live on race hustlers. Someone said, weddings are fun, exciting. Marriage takes working is hard. That's exactly. Casa Mia Interiors, good morning. Brandon Joseph said, we like to use one person as a scapegoat. Yes, exactly. Yeah, everybody was in that bubble. Some people still in it. Someone said, you don't think conspiracies are real because why would the founding fathers want to hurt us? Isn't logical. Yeah, well, that's how people are. I mean, Bryn Davo said, comedy is a useful tool for changing beliefs. Cat Williams, even Donald Trump. Sometimes depends on whose beliefs we're talking about. All right, so over on TikTok, it did actually let me scroll. So let's see. Well, it didn't let me scroll all the way to the top. So let me see. Sam says, no criminal president, no Trump. Some said. Renette said, it's all the money train. Yes. Sam said, Kamala is an ex-prosecutor, law-abiding citizen. Trump is crime incorporated. Some say that. Doesn't mean you should vote for either one of them just based on that. Victor said, homie ain't even looking at this chat. Well, I'm not looking at any chat while I'm talking. Irma V, thank you for the rose. When I'm done talking, that's when I look at the comments. And TikTok is a lot of stuff that comes through while I'm talking, so I can't even get to everything, but I'm just scrolling through. Sam said, Musk and Trump paying actors to pretend that they like Trump. But we'll see on election day who's pretending. All right, that's all we got to go off of. The rallies don't matter. Let's go off the actual outcomes. Sam said billionaires playing MAGA. Well, they say that Beyonce and Jay-Z are billionaires. They say Mark Cuban's a billionaire, and they seem to be on the other side. So it's not really about billionaires because there's several quote unquote billionaires on the Democratic side. Bella Boo News said, when it affects you, you'll be invested. Racism affects everyone. Invested how so? What do you mean by invested, Bella? I never said racism doesn't exist. Doesn't mean I got to be invested in it. What do I got to invest in? Anthony said, objective truth is reality. Well, reality is subjective because what you see and what I see are two different things. And we could both be objective and they could both see them, but reality is subjective and it's based on the observer. I did 3 points twice. That's why I said point number 2 more than once. Someone said the truth will be revealed. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see who's there to see it when it gets revealed. That's the thing you got to get. That's the parts you got to get. The truth may be revealed, but doesn't mean everybody's watching when it gets revealed. What channel is it on? Is everybody watching that same channel? The answer is no. See, that's the issue. Tommy says, subscribing to your podcast will get the Work on Your Game book for my employees. That's what's up. We got a bunch of copies right there. So we'll ship those out in bulk to you, Tommy. Appreciate it. Someone said these liberals live in a fictional universe. Well, there are liberals who say that the conservatives live in a fictional universe. That's the issue. That's the whole point. Cameron said perception is reality. Yes, it is. And reality is subjective. Poppy Tom said your opinion is flawed. My opinion? It might be, but there's no such thing as a flawed opinion. That's a non sequitur. My opinion is my opinion. Opinions don't have, there's no such thing as a right or wrong opinion. That's not a thing. Someone said, is this a Trump speech? Am I Trump? Someone said, the government, the pursuit of control, money, and their comfort. That I pretty much would agree with, Ren Lynette. That's why I told you to vote for yourself. Voodoo said, you can't argue with facts. No, yes, you can. There's a fact that Michael Jordan was 2 for 22 from the floor. There's another fact that the Bulls won the series 4 games and won. They won the championship that year. So one fact says Michael Jordan's not that good. Other fact said he's the best. Which one's true? Someone says this is a recording. No, it's not a recording. I'm live right now. Here I am. Nice tie. Thank you, Christy Wu. Appreciate you. Said Trump, Madison Square Garden rally. Yeah, I saw he did that rally yesterday, right? Maurice said they don't care about facts because they don't want it to be true. Well, who's they? Everyone can say that about the group that they don't like. See, that's the issue. That's the issue. Jonna for Freedom said Trump with a whole bunch of hearts. Tommy, Win Bigley book. Yes, Win Bigley. It's a good book to help you understand why facts don't matter, why persuasion matters more than facts. That's really what he's talking about. I don't know who Nazi NOTS. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I get it. Nice try. He ran against Hillary Clinton. There was no persuasion needed. Well, she did win the popular vote, didn't she? So she still had fans. And he had haters. I mean, Trump's all 3 elections is people voting against him, not really for the other person. I think Hillary had the most fans. Biden didn't really have any fans, and Kamala has people who are supporting because she's female and minority, not because they like her. So every election Trump's been in, people are voting against him, not really for the other person. Carl Americ said, love and live, and you are a truth teller. Thank you, sir. Let's see. Your free mentor said, facts, if you want to get the same info as all, learn binary, all truth can be traced to binary. Yes, keep it black and white. Koja, C. Dirk said, used to make, yes, that was me. Basketball on YouTube back in the day. Yes, sir. Let's see. Like the game telephone. Yes, that's pretty much what it is. Cameron said the art of mass misinformation. Yeah, people call it that, but there's really no such thing as misinformation. People are just, they're telling you lies. These people are not dumb. They know when they're lying to you. Then B. Ren said, Ren, most of the news this time is opinion, so facts are not facts at all. Yes, what they do is they take fact and opinion, they blend them together. That's the new thing. So they are telling you some facts, but they mix it in with opinion, then they call it truth. That's what they're doing. Marcus says, like you have to witness events yourself. Exactly, Marcus Riddick, you got it right. You have to witness events yourself. The problem is we can't witness every event, so we have to decide what we want to believe. That's pretty much what it is. What most people call reality is simply our beliefs. I can't witness everything myself, so I got to decide, what do I want to believe? What do I not want to believe? I'm going to eat lunch later today, and I'm going to decide to believe that there's no poison in the food because I didn't make it and I didn't see the person make it. So I got to believe that that's true. I don't know. I got to believe. And most of life is based on what we choose to believe. A lot of people don't like to accept that. They rather call things reality when they don't actually know, or things they know. They don't even know anything. Someone said, a fact is the sun will go down at night and rise in the morning. There's no debate in fact. It's not the fact. That's the truth. That's not a fact. That's the truth. Yes, influencers. Y'all got the whole thing about influencers. And again, they're not informers, they're influencers. Let's see. The news is not there to influence you. It's there to report the news, facts, not fiction. Well, that was the case in 1995, not now. That's not what they're there for now. They're there to influence you. That's their job. Thank you for the badges. Everybody who sent through the badges. Popular Thunder with the badges and others. There was a bunch of others. Yellow Man Reed, good. Appreciate that. Black American Male said, not just the message, how each received it and taking that and coexisting with one another. Yeah, the problem is we're not coexisting. We are clashing. Muhammad says, what happens when the teacher is also an influencer? Are they teaching? Yes, you can influence and teach at the same time. You can influence someone and be teaching them at the same time, but you could also be influencing someone and teaching them something that's not true. Just because it's not true doesn't mean it's not being taught. All right. Again, how many of you know someone who believes something that is absolutely not true? So they were taught that by somebody taught it to them. So teaching does not necessarily mean truth. Teaching just means you got someone to accept it. That's all teaching means. No, I do not play basketball anymore. Muhammad said, not everyone listens to influencers. Well, what makes them an influencer is that someone's listening to them. It doesn't have to be everyone. Not everyone listens to me, but some people listen to me. You're an influencer when you have influence. Doesn't mean the whole world. Someone said, why are we giving influencers more power? Well, Muhammad, the exact reason that you're on TikTok right now and not watching NBC or CBS. You answered your own question with your own behavior. You're on social media listening to influencers and the content that they post. So is there a tracker on here? I don't know what you mean by that. You mean on TikTok? So someone said programming is like affirmations. Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is. You program the subconscious mind through repetition, emotionalization, and immersion. Any one of those will program the subconscious mind. Ashram said, I've listened to a lot of lives. Yours has been by far the best. Thank you. Well, I'm glad you found me. Stick around. I got more to come. This next week, I got a lot coming this week. Between now and election day, I got a whole lot coming. So stay tuned. Someone said the analogy takes away decisions from viewers, also assumes that the teacher only teaches. I don't know what you're referring to. Smart Shield Inc., thank you for the badges and the lightning bolt as well. Art said, yes, the second law of thermodynamics. You got it right, law of entropy. Carla FT711, good morning. Thank you for the people who start following me too. Good morning, Go Yo Gots. Black Acre said, I told misinformation. No such thing as misinformation. So that means I either told you the truth or I lied. What did I lie about? MG4 said, facts don't matter. So whatever you're trying to talk about don't matter now. Well, I'm not telling you facts. So you tripped yourself up with that one. Charmaine said, not what the Republicans are offering, nothing but hate, lies, misinformation, and racism. Well, clearly you've been indoctrinated by the other side, which is fine. Now you are free to believe what you want to believe. That's the reason why we're in the information board. Based on what you just said, that's exactly what I mean. After what they displayed in NY is terrible. Okay, you are free to have your own beliefs. Your vote, your choice, as they say. Anytime I feel down, I just remember $3 trillion of propaganda didn't work on me. I get it. Yeah, you're right. Didn't work on me either. They used to report the news. Now they create the news. Yes, they do. I agree with that one. Smart Shield, you got that one right. Let's see. Babs in. Appreciate you. Daryl said, so it was a fact. He never condemned nothing. You lying now. Sure he did. He said it in the very next breath. He said, find people on both sides. And then he said, I'm not talking about these people and these people. They need to be condemned totally. Go look it up. Look up the clip on social media. He absolutely did. So said Trump wouldn't even let you and his mom unless it was to disturb him or clean up after. All right, well, good. Well, good thing that I'm not a supporter of Trump. I'm just a supporter of objective thinking and objectivity and critical thinking. So what Trump would do or wouldn't do is not my concern. It shouldn't be yours either. Someone said, Bab said, haters, stop with your nonsense. Well, they're free to hate. Hate is legal. All right, hate is protected by the First Amendment. So don't knock people for hating. They're allowed to hate. Someone said, Beat PHL said, put a whole bunch of books behind. It doesn't make you smart. Doesn't even make you look smart. All right, that's fine. You are entitled to your opinion. I'm not here. Again, I just told you I'm not in the business to change your minds. If you actually believe that, you're entitled to that opinion. I don't need to change your mind. And why would I even waste my time? All right, let's see. D.L. Clark said, you think you're the ref, so it makes no sense to talk to you. You're not talking to me. I'm talking to you. You're in the comments. All right, so Reagan used words his entire presidency. I don't know what that means. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to take a few more of these, then we'll wrap this up. Someone said, am I Haitian? No. I'm Black American. Both my parents are Black from America. FBA, as y'all like to say. Lar Ringdell Lamart, thank you for the gift. The rose, thank you, sir. Or lady, I don't know if that's a man or woman. 2028 election is going to be wild and Trump won't be on the ticket. I think it'll actually be less wild because people get so excited about him that it draws way more attention than anybody else would. I think it'll be less wild. It depends on who runs, but I don't think there's anyone like him that's going to run. Someone said, that's the problem. Teachers should not be influencing students. Well, the only way that happens is if you don't send your kids to school. Somebody's going to influence them. If you send your kids to school, they're being influenced by the teacher. You're influenced by anything you consume. It doesn't matter who it is. Anything you consume, you're being influenced by. So if you listen to the new Future mixtape or the Drake album, you are being influenced. Anything you consume is influencing you. Mo Breezy said, what's 25K going to do if you have an old house? Nothing, because you won't get the money because it's only for first-time home buyers, according to Kamala's campaign. You won't get the money. You got to be someone who doesn't have a house. Stephanie said, I voted for Trump. I did my research based on facts, just like all the, all right, that's fine. You are free. Your vote, your choice. Smart Shield said, your clapback is funny. Get them. Barb Stribley said, love your video chat and love your comments. Thank you. Cindy said, I enjoy your live. I have so much respect for your intelligence. It's a breath of fresh air. Thank you. I agree. Emrel said, that's why we homeschool. Okay. Well, I'm on board with that. I like that. Yeah. So you should, and I may speak about that another day as well, but parents should be the number one influencers of children. So all of you out there with kids, Be careful how much you letting your kids use their phones, especially not around you. And be careful sending them to school too, because it may be a good teacher, but you got to be careful what they're being influenced by their classmates as well, because you have no idea what those other kids are learning at home from their parents, and your kids are picking up on it. So you got to be careful with that stuff. I prefer homeschool as well. So I wasn't homeschooled myself, but my mom is an educator, so I got a really good foundation from my parents. But then I went to public school, but I was more influenced by my parents than I was by anything that happened at school. And my child is not old enough to go to school, but any kids I have one, but when I have more, I will homeschool them as well. And some people say, well, how you gonna homeschool if you don't have the qualifications of a teacher? Or most teachers' qualifications are simply going to school and getting a degree. Different conversation for a different day. We're not gonna go into that rabbit hole today, but I probably will sometime in the future, talking about the educational system. I've trashed it many times. I will trash it again in the future. The education system in America is garbage. And I'm a success story of the educational system, yet I still call it garbage. So y'all figure that one out. I'm really a success story of a 2-parent household. That's really what I'm a success story of. I'm successful despite the educational system, not because of it. But again, different conversation for a different day. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But first we gotta milk the attention that this current election cycle draws, and I'm going to milk it. So if y'all didn't hear me say this last week, or you're new around here, I will be talking about more on the current events side, at least through probably the election is next Tuesday. So at least through next Wednesday, and probably longer than that, because hopefully we know who won on the night of November 5th, which is a week from tomorrow. And whoever wins, there's going to be a whole lot of fallout and everybody talking about it probably for another week. So for at least the next probably 2 weeks, I'll be talking current events. For those of you, again, who are not familiar with my work, I don't talk about current events every day normally on my show that comes out every day. I'm going to show you all the Spotify of my show. It's called Work on Your Game. It comes out every single day. It is free, and it looks like this. Work on Your Game. And as you can see, we have over 3,000 episodes of my show. It comes out every day. It's free. I've been doing the show since 2016. This show is not current events every day. Every once in a while, I'll talk about a current event, but this is more evergreen material. So again, you can find that on Apple or Spotify. It's called Work on Your Game. It's free. Comes out every day. Has over 3,000 episodes of the show. There, I talk about more evergreen things like personal development, professional development, entrepreneurship, business, success, mindset, etc., things like that. I talk about current events when it's beneficial for me, because I know everyone's talking about and thinking about this election. So that's why I'm talking about this stuff now, simply because that's the hot topic, and I am in the business of getting people's attention. So somebody left a comment last week like, oh, you're just trying to get attention. Of course I'm trying to get attention. Why would I be on social media if I didn't want attention? Everybody's trying to get attention. So that's what we're doing right now for the time being. Depending on what happens next week, I might talk about current events more based on what's happening. If something happens and it kind of calms down and dies down, then I'll go back to talking more on the personal development, professional development, personal growth, mindset, success, advancement, evergreen topics. But as long as current events are hot, I'm gonna talk about current events. All right, so everybody understand that? So don't think that I'm always gonna talk about this stuff, because it's not always interesting. But when it's interesting, I'm going to use it. I'm going to milk it. I'm going to take advantage of it. So any of you thinks, oh, Dre's on here talking about this just to get attention, that's exactly what I'm doing. All right, guilty as charged. I'm trying to get attention. All right, so let's see what else we got over here. What about the ability to handle different views, though? You have to have that to navigate this world. Absolutely. 100%. You better have the ability to do that. TikTok said, great job. You've been live for 90 minutes. Don't forget to take a break. TikTok is right. I do need to take a break, because today is a recording day for me. So I'm about to record a lot of content from my platform, on my show that I just showed y'all. And I also need to go to the bathroom because I've been recording for 90 minutes. And systems are in place for homeschooling with better resources. Yes, I agree. I'm fully on board with the concept of homeschooling. I'd rather parents have full influence over their kids than sending your kids to school and letting other kids who might be coming from crazy homes or teachers influence their kids, especially the world that we're in today, where a whole lot of nonsense is all of a sudden being accepted. There's a lot of nonsense being accepted these days. 30 years ago, if someone was a boy and the next day they decided they were a girl, people would say, you're crazy. You would get laughed out of the room. Now, you're a boy, you decide you're a girl, you get a round of applause. You get a party. That's crazy. Again, different conversation for a different day. But there's some schools that will co-sign this. And if you're sending your kid to that school, you better be careful of what you're sending your kid into. You're walking your kid into a place where that's accepted. Not me. Shout out to people who do, but not me. Anyway, AU Hunter said you're refreshing to listen to. Thank you. I agree. I do think I'm refreshing to listen to as well. So, all right, everybody, we're going to wrap this one up. As I told you, I didn't tell y'all this. I do these lives every weekday, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern. Next week, I'll be here. 2 weeks from now, I know I'm going to be traveling on Monday and Tuesday. So the 11th and the 12th of November, I'm going to travel. I'm traveling to do a speaking gig. So I probably won't be live on, I already got my flight. So I know I won't be live on Monday. Then I'm speaking on Tuesday. So I won't be live on Tuesday. Probably won't be live on Tuesday, but I'll be back Wednesday. So 2 weeks from now, I'll probably miss Monday and Tuesday, but then we'll be back on Wednesday. Am I an author? Yes. So Whiptail Publishing, these books you see behind me on the shelf, these are my books. So you can't see my name on all of them, but the books you can see, all of these are books that I have written personally myself. So yes, I am an author. I've written 35 books. I've done 4 TEDx talks. All right. So again, I'm supposed to be saving my voice because I need to record today. So today's going to be a long day for recording for me. 2 hours on here, but this is fun. I enjoy doing this. I appreciate you all's time and attention. WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. You'll like to work with me directly. Have me as your direct coach. Get access to all of our trainings, all of our courses. So you see these books behind me. I got just as many courses, trainings, master classes, breakdowns when it comes to publishing, when it comes to business, when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to starting your business, all of those things. All that you can find at WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Yes, I've done 4 TEDx talks. You can find those on YouTube. Just look my name up. Just look up Dre Baldwin and type in TEDx. You can see my TEDx talks. I got 4 of them, all based around mindset and advancement, personal advancement. That's my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is not politics. And I'm not really being political with what I'm talking about here today. I'm using politics as a canvas for the actual topic. The actual topic is that facts don't matter. I'm just using politics because politics tends to get people's attention, especially as long as Trump is around. It tends to get everybody engaged. So I'm just using it for attention. All right. So anybody try to say, oh, you're just trying to get attention. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to get attention. So I will use anything, not anything. I will use certain things that make sense to get attention. And then I'll take my evergreen concepts and I will frame them around politics in order to get the point across. That's what I do. And I'm pretty good at it. This is one of my superpowers, is taking complex subjects and breaking them down to make them bite-sized and digestible for the everyday person. You don't have to be an expert in anything that I talk about to understand it. Once I break it down and explain it, my job as the expert is to make it easy for you to get it. You don't need to be on my level of understanding or experience to get anything that I break down. That is my expertise. So any of you want to know, there it is. Anything that I understand as a high level expert at what I do, I can break it down and help you understand it. I can help a 10-year-old understand anything that I talk about. So that's what I do for a living. That's what I do best. The subject matter may change. So back in the days, someone who left a comment that was asking, do I play basketball? I used to play basketball. I played basketball professionally till 2015. I used to break down basketball and I used to put that on YouTube. That's where I first got known on the internet, was putting basketball breakdowns on YouTube, like literally how to play basketball, like dribbling, shooting, etc. Then I changed over to talking about mindset and then also in business. And here we are. So this has been almost the last 10 years I've been doing that. So my ability to break things down, I can change the subject matter, but the ability stays with me. So my unique ability is my ability to break things down, not necessarily a certain topic. So it's not basketball or politics or entrepreneurship or mindset. I know those things, but my ability to break things down is the most important skill because I can take that anywhere. All right. I need to rest my voice because I got to record today and I got to go to the bathroom. All right. Evergreen content. Evergreen content means a subject that is not, it doesn't go out of style when the calendar changes. So for example, talking about the 2024 election only matters until the 2024 election. After the election's over, I can't talk about this anymore because it's no longer relevant because the time has changed. But if I talk about something like facts don't matter next year, the year after that, the year after that, that's always a topic. That's an evergreen concept. I'm just using politics because that's the hot topic. But mindset, for example, is evergreen. I can talk about mindset anytime I want. I can talk about business anytime I want. Evergreen simply means is not relative to the time and date. That's what evergreen means. Evergreen means I could talk about it today and you could hear about it for the first time 10 years from now, and the point is still relevant. 10 years from now, if you hear me talking about Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, is irrelevant because 10 years from now, it doesn't matter anymore. That's the issue with talking about the news and current events, is that you got to keep talking about what happened today. That's why I don't normally talk about this stuff, because I don't want to have to chase the news. But when it comes to evergreen topics, I can talk about these all the time. That's the reason why I just showed you. Let me show you again. My show, this is mostly evergreen stuff, meaning you could go back to episode number 200 from 2016 and it will be relevant to you right now, even though you're just hearing it today and I made it 8 years ago, it's still relevant to you today. But this topic, if I'm talking about Kamala and Trump, 10 years from now, it won't matter because nobody will care. Everybody understand? That's what evergreen means. Evergreen just means something that's not time sensitive. Let's see. Am I in all? Okay, I answered that question already. TEDx, yes. Tim McRae, appreciate you. I'm answering a couple more questions, then I got to get off of here because I really do have to go to the bathroom. Grant said, can you talk about positivity and breaking out of negativity? Yes, I would suggest you read this book right here called The Super You. Get it by going to mirrorofmotivation.com. That book right there, mirrorofmotivation.com. When you're there, check the box. We offer you a 4-book bundle called the Bulletproof Bundle. It's 4 books, and you'll get that book called The Super You. It's all about confidence. So that'll help you. Grant, who asked that question. Where did I get that concept? I don't know what concept you're asking about. Imrel Ahmad. When y'all ask questions in the comments, don't just refer to what I'm saying, but actually say what you're asking, because I am speaking and your comments come like 30 seconds later. So by the time I see your comment, I already said what I was talking about. Ren Lynette, appreciate you. Someone said the book in the background, Work on Your Game. That's the name of my brand. It's the name of my business, the name of my company. Work on your game. So you see it right here, Work on Your Game. You see the Asian version, that's the Mandarin version. So this is my book, Work on Your Game, in Mandarin. We got it translated to Mandarin. Those are the same book. This is in English. Most of you read in English. If you read Mandarin, that's the Mandarin version of Work on Your Game. You probably, I don't even know where you buy that, but my publisher sent me that. You see Work on Your Game right there. You see my Work on Your Game hat right there. My company's called Work on Your Game. So that's what that is. Yes, every book you can see behind me, I wrote all of these. I mean, it's not all of them, but yes, I wrote all of these. Evergreen, where did I get the concept? I don't know. I didn't get it from anywhere. I didn't make it up. I don't think I made up the concept Evergreen. If I did, then I need to trademark it and make money off it, but I didn't make it up. Evergreen just means anything that was always relevant. It's not time sensitive. That's what it means. Again, I didn't make that up. So I don't know. I got it from the dictionary. This is where I got it from. So everybody, all right, I actually do need to go. I got to go to the bathroom. I got to eat. I got to take my son for a walk, and I got work to do. So workonyourgameuniversity.com, everybody. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern. We out of here.